The first thing I heard when I stepped out of the truck wasn't birds or cicadas. It was a woman shouting, "Excuse me, you can't park that here." I turned. A short woman in a white blazer and pearl earrings stood on the sidewalk, hands planted on her hips like she owned the street. Behind her, a row of near-identical houses stretched down the cul-de-sac. Fresh lawns, matching mailboxes, the kind of manicured perfection only an HOA could demand. My new house sat just past the curve, older brick, a little wild around the edges. My property, my land, and just outside her jurisdiction. I smiled, still holding a box. "Pretty sure I can. It's my driveway." Her jaw tightened. "This area is under the Willow Gate HOA, and we have strict move-in protocols. No trucks overnight. No unapproved paint colors. You'll need to register with me." I set the box down. "I'm not in Willow Gate." She blinked. "Of course you are." "Actually," I said, pointing toward the cracked curb, "the HOA boundary ends right there. County line map confirms it. This parcel's grandfathered, built 5 years before the association existed." Her face went cold. "That's impossible. Every home here abides by our rules." "Not this one." I walked back toward my front door, hearing her heels snap across the pavement behind me. "You can't just ignore the HOA," she barked. I didn't bother answering. The sound of the moving truck's liftgate drowned her out. By sunset, the house was half unpacked. My dog, a golden retriever named Tucker, lay in the yard, tail flicking in the dirt. Across the hedge, I caught her silhouette again, watching. Clipboard in hand, phone angled like she was documenting violations. She yelled something about unapproved fencing and yard clutter. I waved politely and shut the blinds. That night, someone left a typed letter on my porch. "Dear homeowner," it began, "as president of the Willowgate HOA, I must inform you that your property's exterior condition and unregistered vehicle are in violation of Section 3.1 of our community guidelines." I laughed. No signature, no letterhead, just a power trip on printer paper. Still, I scanned it, time-stamped it, and filed it in a folder named HOA Nonsense. You never know when documentation pays off. By week 2, the harassment scaled. Karen, her name was printed on the HOA website I checked, began sending notices taped to my mailbox, each more aggressive. Then came the contractor confrontation. A painter I hired quit mid-job after some lady threatened to fine him for working without HOA approval. I decided to get evidence. I mounted a discreet camera above the front porch and another on the fence line facing her property. Motion activated, infrared, full audio. 2 days later, the camera caught her stepping into my yard at 6:12 a.m., snapping photos of my trash bins. She didn't know it yet, but that trespass turned everything. I dropped by the county clerk's office after work. They pulled up the original plat map from 1996. My lot, parcel 42B, sat clearly outside the Willow Gate perimeter. The HOA's founding document even listed the neighboring street as its eastern boundary. So I asked the clerk to notarize a certified copy. $5, 1 stamp, and now I had something Karen couldn't argue with. That night, she was waiting again. "You're making this difficult," she said, voice tight. "We have standards here." "I'm sure you do," I replied, handing her the folded document. "But you don't have authority past this line." She snatched the paper, scanned it, and her expression faltered just slightly before she forced a smile. "We'll see about that." Then she stormed off. I watched her disappear into her HOA perfect world, clipboard swinging like a weapon. Something told me this wasn't over. The next morning, my phone buzzed before sunrise. Porch cam alert. There she was again. Same white blazer, same clipboard, crouched by my hedge line with a tape measure and a flashlight. The footage caught her muttering to herself, "Property can't be this far. It's inside HOA limits. It has to be." She looked like she was trying to will the boundary to move. I downloaded the clip, marked it 6:03 a.m., trespass number 2, and saved it to a new folder, evidence for county, legal. If she wanted to play bureaucratic chess, I'd bring the rulebook. By that weekend, the notices had turned into threats. A bright red letter appeared on my door. Immediate fine, $500, non-compliance with HOA exterior aesthetic standards. Except it wasn't signed by anyone official, and the HOA had no jurisdiction over me. Still, it was printed on Willow Gate letterhead. That made it impersonation, false representation of authority, a legal line she probably didn't realize she'd crossed. So I called someone who would. My cousin Dean was a property lawyer with a specialty in HOA disputes. Calm guy. Always spoke like every sentence was a court transcript. I sent him the footage, the letters, the certified plat map, and the HOA charter. He called me back 20 minutes later. "Ryan, she's way out of bounds, literally. The HOA can't enforce anything outside their recorded covenant area. You've got her dead to rights. Want me to draft a cease and desist?" I smiled. "Not yet. I want to see how far she'll go." The next escalation came fast. A county code officer showed up Monday afternoon, said he'd received multiple complaints about my illegal structure additions. He glanced at my carport, untouched since I moved in, and sighed. "Between you and me, I've been getting calls from the same woman all week. Claims you built without permits." I walked him through the survey line, showed him the plat, showed him the time-stamped footage of Karen trespassing with her flashlight. He watched the clip, exhaled, and muttered, "Oh, she's one of those." He wrote a short note on his clipboard. "Everything checks out. I'll be flagging her complaints as frivolous going forward. Keep your documentation." He handed me his card. "And if she keeps harassing you, call the sheriff. Don't let her bait you." I thanked him. The moment he drove off, I noticed Karen standing at her window, arms crossed, watching. Again, I decided to push back, quietly. I sent an email to the HOA board using their public contact form. "Dear Willow Gate HOA board, this is to inform you that your president, Mrs. Karen Halloway, has been repeatedly trespassing and issuing fraudulent notices to a property not within HOA jurisdiction. Attached are time-stamped videos, certified county plat, and recorded complaint log. I suggest you address this matter internally before county law enforcement and the state HOA compliance office do." Sent at 11:47 p.m., marked "Read" at 6:18 a.m. By noon, 2 other HOA members were at Karen's driveway, gesturing animatedly. One pointed toward my property line. She kept shaking her head, waving papers like a white flag she refused to raise. Tucker barked through the window as they argued. That afternoon, she doubled down. A printed notice appeared on her neighborhood Facebook page. "Unregistered resident has moved into a non-compliant structure. Homeowners, please report any suspicious activity to HOA leadership immediately." It didn't take long before the comments filled up. Half the neighborhood wanted her to stop. The other half wanted proof. So, I gave them proof. I uploaded a still from my survey map and the county link, captioned, "Public record. Parcel 42B is not within HOA boundaries. Feel free to verify before spreading rumors." Then I attached a short clip of her trespassing at dawn, timestamp visible. The post exploded. Some neighbors messaged me privately. Apologies, even laughter. "We all wanted to say something," one wrote, "but nobody's ever stood up to her." By sunset, she deleted the post. But the screenshots spread faster than she could click. That night, I sat on the porch, watching the cul-de-sac lights flicker on one by one. It was quiet, almost peaceful, until I heard the crunch of heels on gravel. Karen was standing at the property line, hands trembling, eyes sharp with fury. "You're undermining this community," she hissed. "I've run this neighborhood for 15 years. "And that," I said evenly, "might be your biggest problem." Her voice cracked. I'll prove you're inside my HOA if it's the last thing I do. I smiled faintly. You'll want to be careful how you try. Because she didn't know I'd just set up a third camera, facing the mailbox, GPS synced to every movement she made. And the next thing she'd do would make everything come crashing down. It happened 3 days later. A dull clang against metal jolted me awake. Something had hit my mailbox. I checked the live feed on my phone and froze. Karen was standing there at 5:41 a.m., holding a spray can. She leaned in, hissed something I couldn't hear, then painted a giant red X across my mailbox and mailbox post. When she turned, the camera caught her face in full color, eyes wild, blazer buttoned like armor. That was it. This wasn't petty anymore. It was vandalism, trespass, and criminal mischief, caught in perfect HD. I downloaded the file, backed it up to 3 drives, and made a call. By 9:00 a.m., Deputy Hayes from the County Sheriff's Department was on my porch, boots crunching in the gravel, broad-shouldered, calm, the kind of officer who'd seen every flavor of neighborhood drama. He watched the footage twice, then shook his head. She tagged your mailbox? That's a federal offense. Mailboxes are protected property. I raised an eyebrow. Want me to press charges? He gave a low chuckle. If you're patient, I've got a better idea. Let's make sure she writes her own confession first. That afternoon, we ran the sting. I repainted the mailbox. Clean, neutral color. Then I placed a small sign right above it. Monitored by County Sheriff's Office. Hidden inside the mailbox was a tiny GPS AirTag, calibrated to ping any movement within 5 feet. Deputy Hayes parked down the street, dashcam running. I sat inside, watching my phone. 6:04 a.m. Motion alert. Karen again. She hesitated this time, reading the sign. Then she leaned closer, pulled out her phone, and took a picture. That was enough. Hayes stepped out of the car, badge flashing in the porch light. Morning, Ma'am. County Sheriff's Office. We need to have a quick word. Her voice went up an octave. You can't. This is harassment. He's violating HOA code. Hayes cut her off. Ma'am, he's not in your HOA. We verified the plat this morning. What you've been doing, trespassing, vandalism, false notices, that's criminal. You're lucky we're starting with a citation, not cuffs. Her face drained of color. He handed her a notice printed with the county seal. Official warning. Criminal trespass property damage. She sputtered something about community integrity, but it was too late. The neighbors had come out to watch. Phones recording. I didn't say a word, just stood on my porch with Tucker beside me, calm and silent. Within a week, the fallout spread. The HOA board called an emergency meeting at the clubhouse, open to the public. Word traveled fast. When I walked in, every seat was filled. Karen sat at the front table, eyes ringed, papers stacked like a shield. One of the board members, a tall man with grey hair, cleared his throat. Mrs. Halloway, we've received formal complaints, footage, and a sheriff's report regarding your actions toward a non-member resident. It's a misunderstanding, she said quickly. He's lying about the boundaries. He slid the certified plat map across the table. The county seal gleamed under the lights. We confirmed the boundary line. You exceeded your authority. Another member added, You've exposed the HOA to liability. The board has voted for your immediate removal as president. The room broke into murmurs. Some clapped. Others looked away. Karen froze, speechless for once, then stood abruptly and stormed out. Her pearl earrings caught the light as the door slammed shut. After the meeting, the grey-haired board member approached me. Mr. Walker, on behalf of Willow Gate, we're sorry for what you've been put through. She won't be bothering you again. I nodded. Appreciate that. Maybe next time the HOA checks the map before declaring war. He almost smiled. Lesson learned. A month later, My yard was finally quiet. No more notes, no more flashlights in the dark. Tucker lounged on the porch, tail sweeping the wood as I sipped coffee and looked at the repaired mailbox. Clean, steady, and legally mine. Karen's house went up for sale a few weeks later. Word was she'd moved to a stricter community. Fitting. I still keep the file labelled HOA nonsense on my hard drive. It's a reminder. Boundaries exist for a reason. Legal, physical, personal. Cross them, and they'll draw themselves in ink and law. If you've ever had an HOA overstep their limits, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments. Someone else might need to hear it. And if you want to see how another HOA president got exposed by her own security cameras, well, hit subscribe. The next one's even worse.